So what happens to Donald Trump when the steroids wear off? Dr. Justin Frank, professor of psychiatry at George Washington University, drops by to discuss. Check it out, leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. Welcome back. We've had quite a few conversations over the last, yesterday and today in particular, but, over the last week or so about Donald Trump's mental state, the revelations from Mary Trump's book, some of the other stories that are coming out, the release of his taxes. It looks like this guy for at least 20 years has been living almost exclusively on credit, and his whole life has been a lie. It's a large chunk of it anyway. And then yesterday, my pointing out that I remember taking steroids when I had a complication from surgery 5-6 years ago when we lived in D.C. And for a couple of days there, I thought I was Superman. I mean, I wasn't ready to jump off the top of buildings to see if I could fly, but I was damn close to it. I was convinced I was invincible. I was just, this is the best show I ever did in my life, is what I told my wife when I came home. And I'm just wondering, let's ask a real professional, somebody who actually understands this stuff, not just the pharmacology and the psychopharmacology, but the psycho behind on who that pharmacology is being applied. Dr. Justin Frank, MD, psychoanalyst and clinical professor at the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Science at George Washington University, the author of Trump on the Couch, among other on-the-couch books, is with us. Justin Frank, MD, is his Twitter handle. Dr. Frank, welcome back. I'm curious your thoughts on, that kind of the list that I just tossed out.
Okay, first of all, the Walter Reed doctors made a terrible mistake, because you don't discharge a person in the middle of steroid treatment without a mood stabilizer. When you took steroids, they didn't think you needed a mood stabilizer because you didn't have a history of being as crazy as Trump is. And you didn't have a history of being so grandiose and have a God complex and all the things I wrote about in my book and all the things that Mary Trump validated in that. The thing is that with steroids, when you are already a person who has impulse disorders, who has a God complex, who already doesn't sleep a lot, who may in fact even be addicted to Adderall for all we know, you don't let them out of the hospital without a mood stabilizer. That could be some form of a tranquilizer, which I wouldn't use, but there are certain things that we use as mood stabilizers for people who have bipolar disorder, but they can work for people who are about to have a steroid-induced psychosis. This excess steroids, what they do to a person like Trump in particular is they make a short-tempered person more short-tempered. They make a person with a God complex much more grandiose. So he says in his interview last night, or his video thing, where I'm immune. I could be immune to this disease. Right. Don't worry about it. It's okay. You Americans shouldn't have to worry. Don't let the COVID fears dominate your life. This is psychotic. This is grandiose. But this is also augmented and increased by the steroid use that has made him more crazy than he would otherwise be.
So what can we expect when the steroids wear off?
Well, we hopefully they should intervene now to make his mood more stable. The problem is when the steroids wear off, the best thing would be if he fell asleep for a couple of weeks. But I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, the big thing that would happen when the steroids wear off is that he'll be stuck with what he's done. I don't think he's going to change because of his psychology. He can't ever admit that he made a mistake or said that he spoke too much or he was too grandiose. I mean, one of the chapter that I keep coming back to in Trump on the Couch is about his destructiveness. It's compulsive. It's deep. And he has a destructive part of his personality that was always battling with the building part of his personality as a builder, but he's much more of a destroyer. And one of the things that destructiveness does is it drives his need for revenge. So when he wrote he's biblical. Listen to this is what he said in The Art of the Comeback. I believe in an eye for an eye, like the Old Testament says. Some of the people who forget to lift a finger when I needed them, when I was down, they need my help now, and I am screwing them against the wall. I'm doing a number, and I'm having so much fun. People say it's not nice, but I really believe in getting even. That's I'm reading for that. That's what Trump wrote. This is a man who, on steroids, is dangerous. He's dangerous. This is written without steroids.
Right.
What are you going to do when he's the president?
I've been laying out a theory here. We've got about 2 minutes to the end of this segment. I've been laying out a theory here that Trump's response to coronavirus and the Republican parties is really no different than their response to Social Security or Medicare or unemployment insurance or seatbelts, for God's sake. You know, back when Ralph Nader was saying we could save thousands of lives if we had seatbelts, and the Republicans are like, it's too much trouble, it's too much expense, that's not the proper role of government, let private industry do it. What do you think of that?
I agree with you. I actually agree with you 100%. The psychology of rugged individualism is one of the things that this country was founded on. Don't Fence Me In is a very important song of the Westerners. This is part of America. This is Reagan. Government is the problem. The problem with that problem is that the people who say rugged individualism forget that many things were built on the back of slaves. So this is rugged individualism. I guess when you enslave a bunch of people, you can think of yourself as a rugged individualist, which is what Republicans do. And Elizabeth Warren really talked about that the clearest a few years ago. She says, who built the highways that the rich people can get to their office on? I mean, all these things are done. And I think that you're right. That's how the Republicans approach things. If we just deregulate everything, all will be fine. That is crazy.
Right, and government doesn't have a responsibility to protect the people except from foreign invasion, and therefore it's not our job to keep you safe from COVID-19.
That's correct. That's correct. In fact, we have to protect ourselves from the government because, as Trump has been saying to people in Virginia, that governor's going to take away your Second Amendment rights.